we'll get that straightened out in a minute. But we at least see Haven's beautiful face on there. So Haven, wait for the camera to all the people. There he is. All right. So anybody checking us out on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, I didn't want to start the stream until somebody was sitting in that chair. Just going to be odd. People hearing my voice and looking at like an empty microphone.
You could have put James in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to have James just go run in there. I didn't know if I was going to go switch it up or whatever, but we'll flip it all out on break. We'll get James in here. But James, you can absolutely, if you want to go hop on the mic, you can go hop on there until the end of the first break if you want. But Haven Harrington, I was telling everybody about the whole news on Tay Kenny and kind of going through the timeline because that's been the biggest news of the last 48 hours or so since Tay Kenny made the announcement that he's going to be making his commitment soon. All right, so just to finish up on the Tay Kenny timeline. Okay, so like I said, over the last, I guess, 10 days, not too long after Coach Kelsey goes in there to visit Tay Kenny, we hear this news that Kansas is making this big push and that Kansas is trying to get back into this recruitment and really try to make it make this big push for him. And then all of a sudden we hear, I guess about a week ago, that Kansas now leads for Taylor Kenny. And now not only is he leading for Tay Kenny, it looks like it may be a done deal to Kansas. And I don't know where all this came from. I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed. Of course, Kansas is a top Adidas school, just like Will Woods. Tay Kenny is an Adidas athlete. And all I can say is this. From the information that I have seen, Eric Bossi of 247 Sports actually just did an interview with Tay Kenny, I believe it was yesterday. And, Tay talked about his finalists. He talked about 5 schools pretty much in particular. He talked about, besides Louisville and Kansas, of course, he spoke on them. He spoke about Kentucky. He spoke about Arkansas. He spoke about Oregon. Those were the schools that he kind of highlighted. And from what the comments that he made, it didn't sound like it was a done deal that, he was going anywhere. Like I thought he was very big on his praise of Coach Kelsey. He said that pretty much since Kelsey and those guys got involved with him, pretty much since he got to the University of Louisville, got the head coaching job, Coach Kelsey has pretty much been on Tay Kenny, telling him he wants him to be his guy. He said he pretty much talks to those guys at least twice every week and, continue to just show love and do all those types of things. And he talked about Kansas. He said that Coach Self was talking about how he wants him to be the next Frank Mason, which I don't know. I don't know if that's like the biggest sales pitch. Like I can understand John Calipari saying, you know what, I've had John Wall, I've had Brandon Knight, I've had, Murray, I've had all these great players. I don't know if saying I want to be the next Frank Mason, I don't know if that has the same ring to it. But hey, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Kansas has a lot of money. They apparently just had a booster give a $300 million donation to the athletic program, primarily for football, but of course, basketball is going to get a little bit of that as well. But
why would you donate to Kansas football?
I mean, he's a Kansas fan. He's a booster. You know,
you have to be like a die-hard Kansas fan to donate $300 million to a football program that has pretty much, I think, they've only been good for literally they had that 2-year stretch that they made like a BCS bowl game, I think.
Yeah, with Mangino, I believe was the coach.
Yeah. And that's pretty much been about it.
Hey, but you know what? That's why they said, look, we got money to spend. We got this $300 million. We better start dropping NIL bags, and Kansas football is going to be a power player haven. That's what they're saying.
You know what? In this day and age, money makes a difference.
I guess this is the Kansas version of T-Boone Pickens, the big booster for Oklahoma State. So I guess, this is the Kansas T-Boone, jumping in. But, Kansas, maybe they have a little bit more money to spend, and, they don't necessarily like their options at point guard right now. So, hey, I will say this. Look, for everybody who's freaking out about Tay Kenny, I'm gonna say this. Louisville, their first year, had Chucky Hepburn, one of the best point guards in the transfer portal, and was outstanding for the University of Louisville. Louisville has the number one point guard in the country, Michael Brown Jr. is going to be taking the court this fall for the University of Louisville, and he's going to be awesome. The one thing I'm not worried about, Haven Harrington, it's a point guard at the University of Louisville. Coach Kelsey has made it a point that he is going to have an outstanding point guard running things and running the show at the University of Louisville. So I'm not necessarily worried about it, but I do think this. I love the fact that Tay Kenny is going to go ahead and make his commitment. Now, he made the announcement that he's going to make that commitment on September 28th. That's going to be his commitment date. Like I said, he talked about what schools he's primarily looking at right now. But the reason why it's great that he's making this decision so early is that this, if it's not Louisville and if, Louisville's not the choice, then they're going to have plenty of time to pivot somewhere else. This is much better than a situation where, say, Louisville really, really wants Tay, and Tay's got the committable offer, and let's say Kenny takes it all the way down to the start of the signing period, which would be, I believe, the first week in November. Then it's a lot more difficult because maybe there are other guys that you would want to get involved with that have already made commitments, or, because once signing day gets there, guys really like to kind of get their spot, especially now that you have the transfer portal and all that stuff. The options and the spots are very selective and very limited, so you see less players taking things into the spring now. So I like the fact that Tay Kenny wants to go ahead and get this out of the way, and that way Louisville can figure out where they want to go from there. Hey, but does that make sense to you? I think that this at least puts Coach Kelsey in a good position to make the next move if, Kenny's not going to head there. Did you agree with that?
Oh, man, you always got to keep your options open. But, yeah, I do agree. And it's weird, like in this time of NIL, I fully expect this type of drama to just get even more pronounced and played out even more as time goes on, or until there's some type of rules, regulations regarding how boosters and schools and collectives and things of that nature can spend money.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. But you know what? And I say this, besides the fact that I'm telling everybody to relax because Coach Kelsey's going to have a good point guard, first of all, besides Tay Kenny, they are also very much and very deep in with Daron Rippey, who's another one of the top point guards in the class. I know Jordan Smith is a young man that they were on early, but Smith, recently had taken Louisville kind of out of his list. But you know what? As options change, things change. Who knows? Louisville may go back to Jordan Smith and say, we got a couple extra zeros for you if you want to get it, if you want to listen. So, they have the one thing that Coach Kelsey I've been very impressed with is he casts an extremely wide net. He does not get himself boxed in to one or two guys and go all in for just those couple of guys. I remember when Coach Mack was here, he kind of put all his eggs Caleb Love and pretty much made Caleb Love his only guy. And it took, went all the way down. I believe it was, was it Caleb Stewart? I believe Caleb Stewart was the kid that ended up at Duke, or Caleb Love and Isaiah Stewart. I can't remember I know the kid's last name was Stewart, but you had Stewart and Love were the two guys that Coach Mack pretty much put all the eggs in the basket. I want to get both of these guys here. Took it all the way down to signing day, and then Stewart ends up going to Duke, and Caleb Love, of course, ends up at North Carolina. And he kind of put himself into a bad position because those were the only guys that he was recruiting heavy for that cycle at the guard position. And it kind of put Louisville behind the eight ball because they just really didn't have a strong pivot. Well, Coach Kelsey is out there recruiting basically 20, I believe of the top 25, he had like 18 of the top 25 Louisville was on their list. Like he's casting a very wide net. So that's the one thing that I really like is definitely Louisville's going to have some ways that they can pivot in some different areas and directions they can go. So that's the first thing I would say to you. The second thing I'll say to you is this. Louisville has 3 different pools from which to pull with. Like people, when they think about recruiting, think about recruiting even 5, 6, 7 years ago, where pretty much your team is going to be based on whoever you can get as far as whatever freshman you recruit and your returning players. Okay, well, that's not the case anymore. Now you not only have, the traditional high school freshmen, but you also have the transfer portal. Okay, so you have that whole pool of talented players. And then you have Europe as well. Okay, so you have the European guys that are professionals looking to come over. You have every player from every other team in the college basketball that's looking to move up or get a bag or do something. And then you have, of course, your traditional, freshmen coming through the door. So Louisville has a lot of people to pull from. So I think we have to kind of get away from this whole, oh, woe is me, if a player or a recruit decides to go elsewhere, because there are plenty of options. So I'm not worried about it. I would love to have Tay Kenny. He's a very, very talented player. I would love to see him. I think he fits perfectly in what Pat Kelsey wants to do. But I am far from being worried about anything that a high school freshman, a high school senior is doing at this point. Haven, do you think I'm like making too much of that? But I mean, to me, high school players are almost at the bottom of the barrel in terms of importance when you can pull professional players from Europe as well as, veteran college guys from other teams. Am I wrong about that?
No, I mean, they are at the bottom of the list, and they should be. I mean, that's sad to say, but I mean, they should be when you can get like European professionals.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, it would be like European professionals would be like one.
Yes.
And then your upperclassmen, high value college players be like 1A.
Yeah.
And then your elite high school players would honestly be C.
Yeah, no, I mean literally like that. And I think that right there is where people have to kind of change the way they think about things. It's because it is so different now in the world of recruiting, where high school players are definitely still the lifeblood, and they're still important for the long term success, because you have to have depth and everything else. But unfortunately, and I went through this with my son, in terms of his recruitment, is that it is very difficult to be able to find spots in college now. It is very difficult. Like most high school players are having to go the D2 route, or the D3 or NAIA or JUCO. They're having to kind of prove what they can do, unless you're a top 100, and honestly at this point, top 50 player. You're not even really being recruited with any sort of like colleges. If colleges have a scholarship or two left at the bottom of their, roster, that's when they finally go reach out to high school kids now. Like if they have a spot left, like kind of the spots that they used to leave for walk-ons, like that's where the high school kids are being stuck at the end of basketball rosters now. Now, definitely not as bad in football. Football is still primarily built through high school recruiting. But even with high school recruiting, I would say it used to be probably 80-20 high school players to potential transfers. Now in football, it's probably 60-40 transfers to incoming high school players. Would you think that's about?
It's about right. But from a school's perspective, you have to look at it like this, and this goes both for football and basketball, and it's maybe even more especially football, right? So like you can get a 4-star quarterback, coming out of high school.
Louisville's gotten one each year that Brom's been here
each year, but he still's gotten high value transfer quarterbacks as well,
and those have been the guys that have been playing,
and those are the guys who starting. The reason being is you get these 4-star quarterbacks, but knowing it takes, unless they're like a phenom, right? It normally takes 1 to 2 years for a high school quarterback to adjust to the college game. And that includes, playing them early sometimes, taking your lumps, and hopefully that pays out in year 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
If he stays that long. The problem is that once you invest all that time, energy, and money into training up that quarterback so he's ready in year 2 or 3. What's to say he doesn't transfer out, and then all your resources went for nothing, right? He sat a
Yeah.
year. He's learned in the system. His sophomore year, it's time for him to play, and he decides he's going to transfer someplace else. Well, all that NIL money we spent on him, training and everything else, is for nothing. We just could have gotten a transfer guy. Yeah, he's going to be here a year, but if he's high enough level player, what does it matter? And I think that's the conundrum that you're seeing right now with football and basketball. Now, do I get a project player that I project is going to be really good in 3 or 4 years? And I can get him now. I can train him in my system. So that sounds great because that's what we used to do it, right? I used to get a guy,
Right.
if he wasn't like a 4 or 5-star type of guy, he was like, he's a project guy. I'll get him here. I'll bring him in the system. I can surround him with other guys, bring them all in the system. They'll learn together. They'll learn to play together. And by the time these guys are juniors and seniors, the program be great and we're going to be balling.
Yeah.
But with today's transfer portal, that doesn't work anymore because now you bring those guys in the system, you train them up, and then they're gone because they want to transfer out to make a bag someplace else. Or for whatever reason, they don't like the playing time they get, or whatever reason, most of them wind up transferring out. So you spend all this time, trying to train these guys up for them to leave. And it just doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense to go get 1 or 2 high school guys, especially on the basketball end, right?
Yeah.
It makes more sense to get 1 or 2 high-end basketball players, but the rest of your class is going to be backfilled with transfers. And why would you do anything else? Like, why would you literally do anything else? Because it doesn't make any sense because you have to win now. You have the money to win now. And, with the transfer portal, you should be able to win now because you can literally revamp your whole team in 1 year. It no longer takes 3 to 4 years to turn a program around.
Yeah.
You can literally turn a program around in a year. In football, it may be like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Because you have to deal with a lot more players. But, yeah, in the basketball program, you can literally turn a basketball program around in a year. Because you can literally have a whole new team in 1 year. And if your NIL bag is big enough, you can have the team of your dreams in literally 1 year.
Literally. Yeah. I mean, and that's why I say, and this is not, and I say all this to say that, it's not that, it doesn't matter. Take Kenny does not matter. He's a very good player. I don't think he's as good as Michael Brown. Like, I think he's a very good player. Michael is almost a generational type player. I mean, could Taylor become that over this next year? Possibly. But I don't necessarily think he's of that level, but he is a very good player. I would love to have him. I think he's, like I said, I think he would fit great to what Coach Kelsey wants to do. But that being said, there are so many options out there. Louisville's going to have an excellent point guard next year, and I don't think that's
that doesn't count because like we don't even know what guys are going to transfer out.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, we have no idea what European players are out there that we can snatch up. They're going to be awesome. Because we don't watch European basketball.
I mean, because I'm gonna be honest with you, even if Louisville did take Kenny Haven-Harrington, I would be hesitant to say that would be a guy that I would want to hand the keys to next year. Like I said, there's a possibility that maybe he has the same arc of development that Michael Brown did, but it's so rare to see a kid that just continues to improve at the rate that Michael did. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if I would be like, more than likely I would feel a lot more comfortable if Louisville went into the transfer portal or did go to Europe and then bring in another point guard as well anyway. That was going to be the way that I, feel like that was more than likely going to go. But we'll see. But I tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's take our first break here at the bottom hour. When we come back, I do have a special guest that's going to be joining us on the other side. So we're going to talk to them. And then we have plenty more to get into as well. You want to listen to Wake Up 502. Raashaan Myers, Haven-Harrington, intern James, and we'll be back on Big A. And welcome back in. Welcome back in. Second segment of the show. Wake up 502 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Big X Sports Radio. Raashaan Myers, Haven Hands. And intern James is finally in the captain's chair over there producing the heck out of this show. Thank you for holding on through the break. And like I promised, we do have a special guest joining us on the line. We have Rachel Moore. Rachel, good morning. How are you doing? Okay, Rachel, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Hey,
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming in loud and clear. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right this morning. It's up and rolling. It's a bye week. There's no Louisville football, Rachel, but that's all right. We got plenty to talk about, so I'm over here running my mouth. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. So if you can, why don't you tell us why you're calling us? You represent or are part of a great organization, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So I represent William Joseph Crisis Nursery. It is a new nonprofit in Frankfort. It has been operating for about a year, and it is the first crisis nursery in Kentucky, and we're hoping to bring one to Louisville pretty soon, as soon as we can. But it is a place for children to stay, ages 0 to 5, while their parents navigate different crisis situations. So if they are facing homelessness, domestic violence, substance abuse, anything like that, they can drop their kids off to stay with us. And it's a voluntary program, so it keeps kids out of the foster care system. Other states are using this model, so it's been really effective in keeping kids out of the system and then saving the state a bunch of money.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and right now we're providing supervised visits, domestic violence survivor support groups, and we have an infant pantry. So if people need diapers, wipes, formula, or anything for their kids, they can come to us for that resource.
Yeah, and we were chatting about this, and I thought that this sounds like an amazing organization. It's definitely an underserved group of folks that you're helping out with this. So kind of talk about how did you come about this? How did this whole thing get started? You said you've been with them for about a year, so kind of talk about how this whole thing came about.
Okay. So I founded it and started it about a year ago. I got the vision for it in 2017 after I had been through family crisis situations myself. My ex-husband is a Marine Corps veteran, and we had issues with domestic violence. He had PTSD, and we were afraid to reach out for help because we were afraid of our children being taken or going into the system. And then my son had to have a liver transplant when he was 15 months old. And my ex-husband's brother-in-law actually donated 40% of his liver to give it to my son. And my son is doing great, but it's named after the person who donated him the liver, who was William Joseph. So he passed away in 2017. He drowned in the Kentucky River, but it's a way to honor him and keep his story and legacy alive, and also promote organ donation.
Wow, that's a powerful story. Absolutely. And that's the way a lot of these things happen, is that folks see that there's a hole or that there's a need, and the great things like this come out of it. So I mean that's a beautiful story, and definitely appreciate you sharing that with us. So as you talked about, you're based out of Frankfort, but you are looking to help move some of those services or bring some of those services to Louisville as well. So if you can, just kind of talk about some of the things you have upcoming. I know that you were looking to have an event coming up here soon, but I believe you said that's getting rescheduled. But what are kind of some of the things that are going on to where people can come out and donate and help out?
Yeah, so there's a Rockin' for Kids fundraiser. It's a chili lunch, and it's at the VFW in Frankfort. That's November 5th
Okay.
at 11 a.m. And that's a really cool fundraiser. You can come get chili and just meet other organizations and just hang out. It's a big event. Rotary, Kiwanis, and Optimist Club are the sponsors of that.
Okay.
And we also we want to get more involved in Louisville and make more connections in Louisville. Just because that's where my heart is. Around the West End School is where I think there needs to be a location close to the Boys and Girls Club. We have connections with the Boys and Girls Club that is moving. It's getting ready to start in Frankfort, and I think the two programs go hand in hand. So Boys and Girls Club is more of an after-school program where we will be those kids could come to us after they finish the program at the Boys and Girls Club eventually. So we're hoping to get that started and just build connections in Louisville instead of just in Frankfort.
Absolutely. No, and anytime it's about, helping out youth or helping out folks that are in tough situations, that's, always a big, we're a big proponent of that. And we always like to help put spotlights on that because there's so many great worthwhile organizations here locally, whether it be directly in Louisville, Frankfort, extended out into the state. We love to help put a highlight on that. So if people want to find out more about your organization, if they would want to, possibly donate, volunteer, what's the best way for them to see what's going on with you guys or to kind of keep up with you?
Probably Facebook. I keep that updated the most. It's William Joseph Crisis Nursery. And from our Facebook, we have Venmo and PayPal if you wanted to donate. And then on our Facebook, you can see updates as we're going along and different events that we have upcoming. And then also different ways to donate or help. Sometimes I'll post the different needs that we have, like if we need a specific size diapers or something like that.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, definitely appreciate you calling in. You are a good friend of mine. Of course, we both are friends through, the recently passed Joe Kelly, one of our favorites. We kind of reconnected from there, and it was just wonderful to see you. And when you told me about what you were doing, I definitely wanted to make sure to get you on there and talk about some of the great things you're doing. But Rachel, you can't be a stranger now. Like if you have, as the chili luncheon gets closer, or if you have any other upcoming events, you have to make sure you let us know so you can come back on and let everybody know what's going on. All right.
All right, I sure will. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rachel Moore, once again, calling in. A great organization, Haven Harrington. We have partnered with so many great organizations over the years, like Operation Open Arms and some of the other, Down Syndrome of Louisville, we've partnered with as well in the past. So definitely appreciate Rachel checking in with us this morning. And make sure you get out there, check out some of the things that are going on there with the Crisis Nursery. But definitely appreciate Rachel coming in. But I mean, that's one of the things that, Haven, we've always made it a point when we talk about more than just talk.
That's what we mean.
That's what we mean, because these organizations, people don't know about a lot of the things that are going on, and they want to provide their time. They want to provide their dollars. They want to provide those opportunities, but they don't necessarily know what's happening. So, we always will take a pause for the cause, as they say. But rolling back to it, Haven Harrington, we got through the first part of the show, kind of talking about some of the things going on in the world of recruiting with Tay Kenny, with Tyrant Stokes. But the other thing that I know you are a football guy, but did you happen to see either of these videos that Louisville men's basketball put out? They put out their Cardinal Commitment, their third edition of the Cardinal Commitment video series, which I think is awesome. Like nobody else is doing this, but kind of like they're on. I don't know if it's necessarily like a Hard Knocks, but it's kind of like that, but behind the scenes kind of spotlight on the Louisville basketball program. They did, of course, one last year prior to the season to kind of get fans excited. They brought it back for a second season, and of course the first edition they were kind of talking about, highlighting Eli Foy and kind of what they were doing in the summer to kind of get the team together and build their bodies. And then they had the second one where it was kind of like the summer, everybody's here now. Guys are starting to kind of build that camaraderie and kind of talking to a couple of new players. Well, this most recent one, it's like, okay, fall is here. Guys are on campus. Peyton Siva is now the new assistant coach. They got to talk to Peyton Siva. They kind of showed some of those highlights and, just kind of putting an emphasis on Louisville kind of really starting to get rolling downhill. They called it kind of the end of the beginning is what was the name of the video. I love it. Like me personally, I think this is a way to keep fans engaged. It's a way to get them excited with a season that's anticipated, maybe the most anticipated season in Louisville basketball since what? I'd say maybe 2013. I mean, I can't think of another year where people are more excited, like since then. Like, because, of course, Louisville coming off of a Final Four, it was expected that Louisville was going to be a favorite, and, it was championship or bust. Basically coming back that year. But, like, I can't think of another season. I mean, maybe the Jordan Morris season was people were pretty excited because they knew Louisville was going to be pretty good. But, of course, COVID shut down that season. But I think this may be the most excited, the most excited that Louisville fans have been for a season since 2013.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of another one, but
the only other time I can think of is
maybe Donovan Mitchell's sophomore season. Maybe.
No, I was thinking probably when Rick Pitino was first hired.
Okay, well, I said since 2013. Since 2013,
Oh, well, putting that as why you gonna use that as arbitrary date?
Well, because that's like the most anticipated Louisville season since because that's chronologically. I don't feel like Louisville fans have been like people are looking at this team like they have an opportunity. Anytime you talk about Final Four expectations, like I don't know how many seasons we've come into a year where people are looking at it like it's a Final Four team, or this is a team that we feel can get to a Final Four. Like 2012 was completely out of the blue. Nobody expected that run that Louisville made in 2012. 2013, after making that run in 2012, bringing back everybody. That was a different ball game. But I can't remember. I don't think there's been a Louisville team since then where we've had Final Four expectations coming in the door. Like I'm not one that I can think of. But I love the Cardinal commitment videos. I love they give you the behind the scenes look. Peyton Siva is absolutely like a fish in water when it comes to being a coach. Like the dude was made for this. I think it's awesome for him. And then of course he has all the accolades that he got from his help, helping out with Chucky Hepburn last year. And now, he's been a big mentor for Michael Brown coming in the door. So, I think it was awesome to see that spotlight from him. But for me, this team, and they not only put out the Cardinal commitment video, but they also put out like practice highlights as well. And that right there is where I get really excited because I like the behind the scenes, but man, let me tell you something. That team that Coach Kelsey is putting together. This is why I understand that people always want to talk about recruiting. I understand that Tyron Stokes is, the number one player in the 2026 class, but I can't be worried about 2026 when I have this squad, coming this fall. That's going to be getting started in, let's see, like 40 or so days. Like I can't really concern myself with. I'll worry about recruiting. Even if you could say that Louisville's not going to get Stokes, they're not going to get Kenny, and all that sucks. I don't care right now. I'll care in April. I'll care in May when I'm like having to break down what Kelsey's going to do to get this roster put together. But right now, I can't really worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, there's bigger fish to fry. I can't do it. I'm very excited. But Haven, I loved what I saw from the team. The pace that they play at, the depth. I saw a great video that some guys put out. I can't remember the name of the podcast that put it out, but they kind of went in depth with kind of the post players and some of the big guys. and that rotation. They kind of talked about the fact that, while the Louisville guards and the with all the high profile transfer portal additions, when you bring in Isaac McNeely, Ryan Conwell, Adrian Woolley, as well as Michael Brown, those guys are going to get all the headlines because that's the big flashy, shiny new toys. But the one thing I liked about this podcast was that they were talking about Louisville's front court players. And they're like, these guys are kind of not known to, basketball fans for the most part because you have, it's headlined by two European players, in Sananda Frew and Evangelos Zoukris coming over from Europe. But they're like, hey, first of all, those are two very, very good players. And then not only do you have those two very, very good players, but then you back those two guys up with, Kason Pryor, who was the gem of Louisville's transfer portal class last year, as well as Ali Khalifa, who was, one of the better big men in the Big 12, at BYU 2 years ago. So, they talked about, the fact that, Louisville's backcourt, it definitely gets all the headlines. But their front court is as good as anybody in the ACC. And just being able to see the highlight video, seeing Ali Khalifa doing what he was doing with his passing, seeing Sananda Frew catching some moves, making some nice plays, seeing the stress that they put on, defenses with their pick and roll game, man. Haven Harrington, I know this is,
I wouldn't say it.
They remind me so much of the 1994 Arkansas Razorbacks. 40 Minutes of Hell, Nolan Richardson, Scotty Thurman, Corliss Williamson. Like, that's who they remind me of. Just up and down, shooting threes, never letting you off the hook, a lot of depth, pressure defense. Like, I'm excited, man. Like, I think this team has an opportunity to be very, very special.
So I share your excitement, but I'm not going to get overly excited about practice videos.
Yes.
And highlights from practice.
Yes.
Because one is highlights from practice.
Absolutely.
And it's just highlights. So you don't get to see them fumbling the ball out of bounds. Or
fair.
You don't get to see any mistakes that they make.
They don't make any mistakes. I heard they hit every shot in practice.
So you get to, so you get to hear like any mistakes they make. And they're playing against each other. They're not playing against like other, like, they're playing against guys we already know. So
yes,
I try not to get too excited about practice videos. It's like I try to get too excited about when I go and watch like the scrimmages, the Louisville football. It's like, man, these guys look dynamic. Because I have to remember, okay, they're playing against each other. They kind of know each other already, know each other's playbooks. So let me kind of, dial that down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. And
if I get too excited.
And that's the thing is that the one thing you can tell about the videos is they're going hard and they're challenging, but they're not trying to, they're not physically aggressively going to the basket trying to kill each other. You know what I mean? Like, you can definitely see that they're like, okay, challenge it. If you can challenge it to get a block or whatever, do that. But, we really don't want you all just going in there barreling in, Yeah. You can definitely tell that they're not trying to have too many big time collisions underneath the basket. But it was the one thing that I did notice that was a good update. I saw there was a picture of Kenai Roos at the football game last week at the James Madison game, and some people said that they thought they saw him in a cast. But from the practice video, Kenai was in there. He was running up and down, no cast. Out there running, jumping, dunking, knocked down nice little three. So that was good to see. But I mean, just the versatility. And just intelligence of this team, man. Like they are a.
But this is what happens once again, folks. So you don't get nervous about missing on a high school recruit. Yeah. These type of things you expect to see when most of your team, are experienced, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is what you expect to have when you get most of your team to experience and they're not like a ton of freshmen.
No, I mean, like, that's it's just a completely different world. Like I said, people have to kind of retrain their brains. It's like anytime you talk about the high school kids and the high school recruiting, all that stuff, that's fine.
Literally, unless you're getting the number unless you get a top 10.
Like Tyler Stokes, like a kid like Stokes or a kid like Michael, that's going to be guys that can come in and start immediately.
Yeah, unless you get like a top 10, top 20 talent, is it really worth a lot of your time?
Yeah, I mean, because you look at Kenai Roos. Kenai Roos was a top 40 player. He was ranked like 34th, 35th, which normally would be a jewel of a class in several years for Louisville. But now, you're looking at these kids. Can they come in and can they, start to make a big time impact? Kenai was he was about a 9-minute player. He was an 8-9 minute player. He would come in, show flashes, but he was a developmental guy. And, like those guys now, because, pretty much only 1 year is guaranteed. You don't even know who you're going to have on your own roster, regardless of what year they are. I mean, a lot of people thought that Roos may look to transfer last year after his freshman season. So, that's why it's with the way college basketball is now, you can't put too much on the recruiting stuff. Like, I know it's good to talk about.
This is Kentuckiana's only locally owned sports talk. The Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WXVW Jeffersonville.
As more
back. 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Big X Sports Radio. James, you have to let me know if there's any text popping in there on Text Groove as well this morning. But we do have Jay Has on the line. Jay calling in, checking in this morning. Jay, good morning. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, sir. I didn't know my name was Jerry. Go ahead.
Who said Jerry? I said Jay Has.
I was with Jerry. I'm like, I like that Jerry leaving the business.
Wow, that's hilarious. Hey, how you doing this morning, Jay?
Fine, man. Doing great. Doing great. It's a bit of a sunshine today. Why not talk about sports?
Are you feeling better about Ron English now? Have you let him go? Have you are you still mad at him from last week?
I'm okay with it, man. I'm okay with it. I mean, the win, at the end of the day, it's about winning, so we won. So
it's a win. Yeah,
but you gotta progress and do better than what you do to get to where you're trying to get to.
You know.
That means you gotta work hard on practice and work hard, man, and get the receiver core in order. I ain't saying they're not in order, but just the continuity of it. Look, man, I'm gonna get this bomb to you, man. So I want you to go, I'm just going this fly motion, man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You gotta talk.
Oh yeah, they got a whole lot of stuff that they're working on, Jay. So I agree with you. They need to make sure they got all their I's dotted and T's crossed. Get ready for Eddie George coming in the building next Saturday morning. So
Former Titan, former Ohio State, good man.
I know
King George, man. I know King George, man, personally, man.
Okay.
A huge guy, great Titan, former Titan, former Ohio State. Great guy, really great guy. God knows Raashaan and
okay.
Yeah, man, I know him personally, man. That's a noon game.
Yeah, noon kick. So we'll be on here in the morning. I don't know. There's a possibility that we may be part of the morning show next week. I know last year in any of the noon games we were actually part of Cardinal Kickoff. So I'm not sure if that's going to be the same setup this year, but there's a possibility. But one way or the other, we'll definitely be getting done here at the studio and having to run on to Cardinal Stadium. We'll get started early.
Man, what that trip you did last year to go to Notre Dame?
Oh yeah,
did that?
Yeah, that was last year.
Good, man. That was a terrible trip.
Yeah, that was a long drive back. It was definitely a long drive back, Jay. You drive all the way up here to South Bend, which is like the most out of the way place in the world, and then you go up there, watch your team blow the chance to win the game, and then you have to drive back home. It's a long ride.
Raashaan and Haven, I can't wait, certain moments to dialogue with you guys about sports, local international sports. Raashaan, let's get to it real quick for just for momentarily about his high school recruiting, one of the biggest recruits in 26 class and 25, really 26 class, with this Tyrann and Tylen and the whole nine. And Raashaan, explain to everybody once again the scenario, what's really going on, a little bit behind the scenes a little bit, because I know what's going on behind the scenes a little bit, because Tyrann Stokes is, first cousin. And we're trying to explain to people about how this thing works out, the NIL with Tyrann and the rest of the guys, and him by going to USC, last weekend, and got Kansas, and got Kentucky on the list, and so forth. We're trying to explain that, please.
Yeah. Well, we were definitely chatting about both Taylor Kenny and Tyrann Stokes this morning. During the first segment, because of the news that Taylor Kenny made the announcement that he'll be committing on September 28th. He went ahead and locked in his commitment date. And as I said, like right now, there's been a lot of smoke for Kansas Jayhawks saying that Bill Self and company are trying to make that move and trying to make that happen. But I think that it's still definitely too early to make any decisions with that. I think that there's an opportunity or a chance that hey, maybe Tay does decide that Kansas is a spot for him. Like that's not necessarily the way that I'm feeling about it and the way that things are going. But I think that Louisville's going to be right there. I think Louisville's going to have a great recruiting class. So Tyron Stokes, he's been super quiet. I know it's been said that he also wants to make a commitment before his season gets going. So we may see a move on his recruitment, Jay, sooner rather than later. But I think that one way or the other, I think that Louisville's going to end up with a great class. And I think by far, Tyron Stokes is the most important part of that class. So, with you, with that being your people, Jay, you make sure that, once Stokes decides to go ahead and make that commitment, that he comes on Wake Up 502 to make that commitment.
Oh, man, you guys get the first dibs, man, on everything, man, about Tyron Stokes, man. Any other sports station won't get this. I'm going to give it to Raashaan Myers, Haven Harrison, and your young programmer guy. I'm going to give it all to you guys. You need to, because Granny still communicated with me.
Oh, yeah.
And I told Granny yesterday, I talked to Granny yesterday, I said, baby, listen, let me know when that thing get ready to open up.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, I need that. We'll go special if Tyron wants to go and he says he got the itch to take that commitment. If it's the middle of the night, we'll hop on. We'll do a Wake Up 502 after dark just for Tyron Stokes and bring him right on.
like we're ready again.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. Absolutely. We're going to make it happen. But yeah, hey, when Granny hits you up, Jay, and lets you know, hey, it's time.
I will get the first dibs on it, man. Matter of fact, you have that phone there. You have your phone there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just throw the bat signal.
Hey, Raven Hanson, real quick, and Raashaan Myers, real quick, I'm ready closing remarks.
No, looks like, I don't know what happened there. James, looks like Jay had Jay got tackled at the 1 yard line. What'd you say about Stokes, James?
I was saying that we had a couple questions in on the text group.
Oh, cool. What? You go ahead and drop him. Yeah, I think he had. I don't know what happened at the last second, but what questions we got coming on text group, James?
Well, it was, what does Jay say about Tyron Stokes, his cousin? And then it was also, have you noticed Georgia Tech's schedule? Clemson at home today, but no Miami, Florida State, SMU, or Louisville.
Yeah. No, well, first of all, as far as Stokes, yes, that is Jay's cousin. That's Jay's people, so they keep him very well informed of everything going on. That's why with a lot of the stuff, James, that people talk about with this whole Stokes thing, man, like I have the opportunity to be very close to the source on this. You know what I'm saying? So I don't listen to a lot of what I hear out there because of the one thing that I know about this recruitment, especially when it comes to Stokes. Like Kenny, I don't have the inside. The Kenny, I have most of the stuff I have on Kenny because Kenny, I'm not sure if you know this. Did you know that Tay Kenny and Tyron Stokes were teammates on the same AAU?
I did not know that.
Yeah, AAU teammates. They were. So they are good buddies. So most of the stuff that I've gotten in on Tay Kenny, I have gotten from the Stokes side. From that group. So I don't have as much inside information with Kenny, but I definitely get some juicy tidbits. On everything going on with Tyron Stokes. So I say all that to say I'm not saying that I know everything, and I'm not saying that anything is definite or guaranteed, but all I'm saying is I'm not listening to any of that mess that anybody's coming out and saying about what's going on with Stokes, because none of them people know anything. So just everybody relax. I know recruiting is always such a big thing and people love it, and ever since Calipari got here with that John Wall recruiting class, this whole area went kind of recruiting crazy after that. But just everybody just relax, man. It's gonna be all right. Louisville fans, we're gonna get what's coming to us. So just chill out. Just chill out. And what was the college football question? One more time, James.
Also, have you noticed Georgia Tech's schedule? Clemson at home today, but no Miami, Florida State, SMU, or Louisville?
Yeah, Georgia Tech definitely has a favorable schedule. Like they don't play a single until they play Georgia at the end of the year. This is Clemson is their only ranked game. They have a cushy schedule, but look, at the end of the day, I'm guessing that the texter is saying that, talking about the chance that Georgia Tech could run the table, and I know that Clemson's going to be missing a couple of guys today, so it's definitely an opportunity for Georgia Tech to take advantage at home. But this is Georgia Tech, man. Trust me when I tell you. I'm going to tell you what game I know that they're going to lose. At NC State, they're going to lose that game. And I don't know why or how it's going to happen, but Haynes King and company are going to drop that game. I mean, they are a very good team. They're very veteran, but I'm not worried about Georgia Tech. Yes, do they have a pretty light schedule? Absolutely, but they'll Georgia Tech it up. But, we have to see if they're going to win today. I mean, this is a huge game. Kicks off at 12 noon, ESPN. If they get that win, though, I mean, if they can beat Clemson, it definitely puts them in a very favorable position because at that point, Georgia Tech's more. I feel like whoever makes the ACC championship game is probably going to be 2 losses or less. So if you can get by Clemson, the opportunity or chance that they're going to lose 2 of those conference games, when they have at Wake Forest, Virginia Tech at home, at Duke, Syracuse at home. I mean, Syracuse looked good last night. I'm not sure if how many folks got to check that, but the young kid Angeli, the transfer from Notre Dame, the quarterback, he looked good. Syracuse. I mean, they were playing Colgate, so I mean, take from that what you will. I mean, it's a toothpaste company, so. No, but I mean, I don't know who's going to come out of there. I mean, Miami looks like they may have a slot locked up. I'm still waiting to see. Miami, of course, takes on USF today. USF's trying to see if they can finish off the hat trick, beat 3 ranked teams in a row. They knocked off Boise State in week 1. They knocked off Florida in the swamp last week, and now they take on Miami there in Coral Gables. So we'll have to see, if USF can pull that off. But if USF does win that, then I may have to go ahead and rethink what the Hurricanes and what they can be. So, we'll see. But, yeah, Georgia Tech definitely has a bit of a lighter schedule. But there's a lot of football to play. We don't really know who's good and who's bad as of yet. I mean, Florida State has looked pretty good so far. But I don't know how good Alabama is. We'll probably figure out what Alabama really is by what they do today. They take on Wisconsin in a Big Ten versus SEC showdown. So I think we'll be able to figure that out, and then from there we can kind of level set with Florida State. I'm still not sold on Florida State, James. I can't trust in Thomas Castellano, man. He'll look like the greatest player in the world. He did the same thing at Boston College. Some games he looks great, other games he looks terrible. So, I don't know. We'll see. Any other text on there this morning?
That's all we have so far.
That's all we got so far. So I don't want to get too far down the road with any of the college football stuff because we will have Leanne Herring coming on at the bottom of the hour, 10:30. Leanne Herring will make her debut coming back this year for her, I don't know, what is it, 4th, 5th year of doing picks with us. But we're going to have Leanne's picks. We're going to break down everything going on with college football. Pretty much everything else going on. She does a lot with recruiting. I'm sure she's been out to see some of the top prospects as well. So we'll definitely have Leanne. So I'm trying to stay away from the college football too much. But I did want to talk. The one thing college football I did want to talk about, because we talked about it on Tuesday, outside of, I did not talk about this on the air, but of course we did create the Wake Up 502 That Boy's Good Player of the Week award in honor of Joe Kelly. We wanted to make sure that Joe can continue to be a part of this program and be a part of everything going on, because Joe is a humongous football fan, and we did announce the inaugural winner 2 weeks ago with Isaac Brown and his outstanding performance week 1 versus EKU, 6 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. But we also announced on this past Tuesday the week 2 winner of the That Boy's Good Player of the Week award, and that actually went to Clev Lubin, the defensive end for University of Louisville. 10 tackles, 7 solo tackles, 1.5 tackles for a loss, 1.5 sacks, and a forced fumble, which of course led to a defensive touchdown. Clev Lubin, first of all, congratulations on being the second winner of the That Boy's Good Player of the Week, brought to you by Wake Up 502. But just a powerful game, standout performance. So congratulations to him. We talked a little bit about the game last Saturday, but we are going to try to make those announcements every Tuesday on Wake Up 502 after dark. So that's going to be coming to you on a weekly basis. Myself, Roman Kelly, Haven Harrington. Oh, and by the way, people, just to give you an update, the reason Roman's not here, he did have his surgery to repair his ACL on Wednesday. So don't know if Roman will be back. He said he's going to be doing commentary today, 3 or 4 days after surgery. James, what you think? You think he's going to make it out there now? I don't think he's going to make it tonight.
I'm hoping he will.
I hope he does. But, man, that just seems like that's a quick turn. To me, brother, if they cutting on my knee, I'm laying up in the bed in the house for like a week.
Hey, that's us.
Roman's a soldier. He's like, man, look, I'm doing color commentary. I'm doing play-by-play. I'm getting it right back out there. I'm like, Roman's a soldier. He's a good, but that's why he's not well. But get well soon, Roman Kelly. We're thinking about you here. So, hope you make it out today. So, I'll have to give you guys an update once I hear from you. I know Roman was talking about trying to make it back to do the Rutherford show on Friday. Guess what, James? He didn't make it. He did not make it. So, now let me ask you, James, since I have you in here, like, did you get to watch the James Madison game last Friday?
Unfortunately, I did not.
You did not get to watch it. So James Madison came in here talking all kind of junk. They was talking crazy. Like I've never seen a small program that just came in it was weird because I've seen teams that want to have an opportunity to pull an upset and they come in and they have confidence. But James Madison had something different. They came in here, it was almost like I don't know, it's kind of like Clemson. Like Clemson comes in and they have this confidence of like, we know we're better than you. So we're going to come in like super cool and super cocky and we're just so loose because we know we're awesome. Like that was the way that James Madison kind of came in on Friday night. It was very odd because it's just like, you all do know like you're James Madison, right? Like you're not Florida State or Clemson or Miami or
Don't
anybody.
Confidence you have to have though?
I mean, I'm okay with confidence, but I would say that what they did kind of slid into arrogance.
Okay.
And the thing about it is, like, your program has not done anything to be that arrogant. Like, they had beaten the last 2 years, they had beaten ACC teams. Like, they knocked off, 2 years ago, they knocked off Virginia. Bad Virginia team, but they did beat Virginia. And then last year, they beat North Carolina. Bad North Carolina team. But they won. They won both games. Right. So because of that, they came in real reckless. Like, talking about this is going to be the third ACC win in a row. We own the ACC. We're going to show them that we're the big brother. Like, they were talking crazy. So it was just very odd to see. But Louisville, of course, did get the win 28-14. It was not pretty early. James Madison actually had a 1-point lead at the half. James, like Louisville had 2 field goals. James Madison had a touchdown on a short field. Louisville went for it on 4th down and got it done. And did not get the first down. And James Madison took that down and scored. So they actually had a 7-6 lead at the half. Then Louisville decided, okay, yeah, we're going to quit playing. We're going to quit playing now. Y'all trying to embarrass us on TV. and they go out there in the second half, run away with it. Cleve Lubin has the big sack in the end zone. Quarterback fumbles. They recover, get the defensive touchdown. Isaac Brown has a explosive 74-yard touchdown run at the end of the game, as well as Chris Bell takes a short slant about 65 yards to the house. So Louisville did what they needed to do in the second half, but the things that, in my personal opinion, we need to see those guys work on during this bye week, and the things that I will be looking for next Saturday. For me, I think the biggest things are just to clean up some of, first of all, before I can't even say clean up some of the defensive mistakes, because there was a couple of defensive mistakes. 10 men on the field, they had to call a timeout for. There was a couple of times where there were some communication errors. But the biggest thing that I want to see is the game plan. Like, Louisville's offensive game plan for James Madison was terrible. It was terrible. For whatever reason, Jeff Brom did not go into that, go into that game and with a great game plan. Very slow, very methodical, very boring, very non-Jeff Brom-esque. It was a lot of basic run plays, off tackle, dive plays, and trying to do play action and throw way down the field. But James Madison is bringing 7 or 8, rushers every time. So Louisville's not having the chance to sit back there, look down the field to make those throws. The quarterback's running for his life. It was just a bad game plan. I need to see Louisville's game plan be a lot more crisp. I want to see more of what I saw versus EKU. I think would be great if Louisville can come out there and do kind of some of the same things that we saw versus Eastern Kentucky, where, if you're going to have Miller Moss in the shotgun, you let him get the ball out quickly, get into his hands, make a quick read, short patterns, get the ball out to your athletes in space, and then let them work. I also want to see them feature the running backs a little differently next week. I feel like our run game, where you're trying to run those, Isaac Brown and Duke Watson, and as well as Keywan Brown between the tackles, like a lot of that stuff. But you're playing against a team that's going to load the box with 8-9 guys, and you have smaller running backs.